and being generous. Every sexiest thing in the entire world is being really smart and being thoughtful and being generous. Everything else is crap, I promise you. It's just crap that people try to sell to you to make you feel like less. So don't buy it.
Ashton Kutcher really, as we speak, is battling some heated cancellation from Hollywood and across all other outlets, including this time. He says that he has resigned as the board chairman of the, or stepping down as the chairman of the board of the child sex abuse that he started apparently with his wife, Demi Moore. Now, it's getting very interesting because looks like after, his character letter that he wrote, trying to justify some justifications, I should say, during the Danny Masterson's case, a lot of, people really were not happy. And of course, after the explanation that he also brought, saying or revealing the reasons for that particular video, it has even worsened the situation. He says he stepped down as the board chairman of the anti-sex abuse, whatever. But it's getting very interesting. Well, Diligence is here to tell you about it. For more news, do well to like our platform here on YouTube, and of course, subscribe. It's very important. Don't just subscribe. Let us also know what you think about our various episodes. Of course, let's get into the details of this. Now, a letter apparently that he wrote. I'm going to read what he said before we go so much into the the details of the story. Now, he wrote. Ashton is leaving, Thorn, the organization that he co-founded somewhere in 2012, and so is his wife, Mila Kunis. Now, the two have been in the news for obviously the bad reasons, and I think I've explained that, earlier. But this time, the shocker is the fact that the two have, especially, Ashton Kutcher is quitting, as the board chair of the organization. Now, this is his, his letter, the letter he wrote to. For his resignation to Thorn. Now, it says that victims of sexual abuse have been historically silenced, and the character statement I submitted is yet another painful instance of questioning victims who are brave enough to share their experience. After my wife and I spent several days of listening, personal reflections, learning, and conversations with surveyors, and the employees and leadership at Thorn, I have determined the responsibility. Wow. Interesting. I have determined the responsible thing for me to do is resign as chairman of the board effectively immediately. Now, he added that I cannot allow my error in judgment to distract from our effort and the children we serve. Wow, so quite a very deep, statement over there. It's very lengthy, but that's what time would allow. But it's very interesting because it looks like for now he's been cancelled from various activities, including being part of the organization Thorn that he created alongside with his wife somewhere in 2012. Well, maybe one would ask, what really is the cause of this? It was because he and his wife, Mila Kunis, apparently came defending, Danny Masterson, but they came back later to also do a video about it. But let's check out that video out and see how they apologize to, the fans.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
Of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that. And we're sorry if that has taken place.
Our heart goes out to every single person who's ever been a victim of sexual assault, sexual abuse, or rape.
Yes, but meanwhile, some fans, after hearing this news, really didn't take it lightly at all. But some had some interesting reactions to say. Well, let us also know what you think about it beneath the comment section. Well, let's check some reactions out after. I know that, I beg your pardon, Ashton Kutcher says that he's taking a bow from being the board chairman of the organization Thor. Let's check some reaction out.
Slightly surprised, but also not really, because what else could they have possibly done? Thorn. Mila Kunis has resigned her position as well. I'm slightly surprised, but also not really, because what else could they have possibly done? Like, they had to, but he did release a statement, or he submitted a statement to Thorn's board. He said, "Victims of sexual abuse have been historically silenced, and the character statement I submitted is yet another painful instance of questioning victims who are brave enough to share their experiences. After my wife and I spent several days of listening, personal reflection, learning, and conversations with survivors and the employees and leadership at Thorn, I have determined the responsible thing for me to do is resign as of chairman of the board, effective immediately. I cannot allow my error in judgment to distract from our efforts and the children we serve." I mean, sounds to me like Ashton Kutcher hired a competent crisis PR team. He also said, "The mission must always be the priority, and I want to offer my heartfelt apology to all victims of sexual violence and everyone at Thorn who I hurt by what I did. And to the broader advocacy community, I am deeply sorry. I remain proud of what we have accomplished in the past decade and will continue to support Thorn's work. Thank you for your tireless advocacy and dedication to this cause." His statement was still fairly broad, which I get, because it was directed towards Thorn and like that board and the employees in general. But the next thing he and Mila could do is say, "I am sorry, Chrissy, Nisha, and Jen, for writing these statements and making it sound like you guys didn't experience what you experienced." I'm actually editing my podcast and YouTube video now of my deep dive into all of the allegations against Ashton Kutcher that have come out since he sent the letters of support. So check those out. I should have them uploaded hopefully in the next hour.
Ashton just stepped down from Thorn amid the controversy of him writing a letter of support and for leniency in the Danny Masterson trial. If you don't know, Danny Masterson is going to prison for 30 years to life for 2 R words. And they think that he committed more, it's just the statute of limitations had passed, or the DA didn't feel that they had enough evidence to move forward. But luckily, the scumbag is going away for a very long time. So Ashton is now stepping down from Thorn, and it makes sense. If you're supporting somebody who was R-wording multiple people, then you should not be at the head of an organization that supposedly is trying to help people. And honestly, the more I look into Thorn, I don't really know if they're doing what they say they're doing. But that's just my opinion. He says it was an error in judgment, and I just don't really buy that. It seems like he thought we weren't going to find out about the letter. It's one thing if he was friends with him and he didn't know, but the fact that he continued to try to support him and get him a lighter sentence with the letter that he wrote, it just says everything I need to know about him. And he's not the kind of person that should be heading an organization that's trying to help people. Again, supposedly. And I think he's leaving partially because the letter, but also there's a lot of stirrings now about how he started having a relationship with Mila Kunis potentially when she was still a teenager, and that they were kissing when she was 14, 15 years old. And if you doubt this, there are videos on YouTube of Ashton talking about this. And it's not just him hanging out with Danny Masterson, it's also him hanging out with Wilmer. And just to remind you, Wilmer said this about Mandy Moore on the Howard Stern show after he had dated her. And just to remind you, they started dating when she was 16. I just have this feeling that Ashton's gonna kind of disappear completely from the limelight for a long while, as he just hopes that the heat settles down. Don't worry, man, whenever you come back, we'll still remember.